Okay, we're going to start in about 1 minute because we already have six commissioners.
And Chairman, I think that this is going to be it because I think Commissioner Simkowitz is out of town.
All right, then why don't we start? Um, the first order of business is to approve the agenda. I have a bunch of amendments. Um, the first is under official actions to add Claudia's table improvements, a snow removal letter, a letter about funding for stormwater retention, and a letter about high school holiday construction hours. Second, to add to the commission business, the DDOT oversight testimony, Transportation Resolutions Digest, surveying of retiring ANC commissioners, and possible, I'll put it on the agenda and maybe we won't need it, talking about registration to attend our ANC Zoom meetings. And third, to take off the agenda the W Street public space application because the deadline for that has been moved to March 26th. So we can do it next month. And the Georgetown Community Partnership representative because there is going to be no community representative meeting in February or March. So we can put that off to March also. Um, are there any other changes that I missed at that long list? All right, all in favor of amending the agenda as stated? Aye.
Aye.
Six in favor. So we're going to move to updates. Officer McElwee, I think I saw you. Yes.
Good evening, commissioners and everybody in attendance. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great.
Great to see everyone. I'm going to first start off with our PSA 205 monthly crime report for the last 30 days. Over those last 30 days, we had 16 reported offenses. I'm going to break them down and then I'm going to touch on those offenses. We had 4 stolen automobiles, 8 theft from autos, and 4 general thefts. I'm going to start with the stolen autos. The first one was a stolen 2026 Honda CRV with Virginia tags, which occurred on January 19th around 10:30 p.m. from in front of a residence in the 1500 block of 44th Street. This vehicle was recovered in the second district on January 22nd with some slight damage on it and returned to its owner. The second vehicle was a stolen 2020 Lexus with DC tags on January 19th at approximately 2:30 p.m. from in front of the residence of the 5400 block of Galena Place. This vehicle has not been located as of today's report. Also stolen was a 2020 Ducati motorcycle with DC tags between January 11th and January 14th from in front of a residence in 1400 block of Foxhall Road. And the fourth one was a stolen 2015 Lexus with DC tags between January 7th and January 8th. And that was in front of 4600 block of Clark Place. The theft from autos, we had a slight increase in theft from autos. Particularly on one day last month, we had 8 theft from automobiles for the entire month. What we're seeing is 7 out of those 8 vehicles had their windows smashed out to gain entry. The items that were stolen were purses, cell phones, backpacks, and U.S. currency. As I say at all our meetings, please try and remove all valuables from inside the vehicles while they're parked and not leave them in plain view. 3 of these theft from autos occurred on January 16th within the Spring Valley area involving a white Acura. I know Captain Haskins is out there, and I know he'll jump on at the end. Maybe they developed some more information on that vehicle. However, during our investigations,
The
we
Acura was
observed
recovered.
it was recovered, Cap.
So is seventh district.
in the 7th District. While going through some of the home security videos, we did notice, and I just want to put this out there, that this individual was seen looking in vehicles and bypassing vehicles, that he didn't see anything. And then he went to the next vehicle up and smashed the window out and took out a backpack. And that was the day we got struck pretty heavy during the afternoon hours in the Spring Valley area. I'm just going to touch on the locations. As I said, we had 4 in the Spring Valley locations. Woodway Lane, MacArthur Boulevard, 5400 block of Galena Place, another Spring Valley, 4052nd Street, 4800 Glenbrook, and 4500 block of Mass Avenue. We had 3 thefts, and these involved items basically left sitting out. We did have the one theft where a person skipped out on their bill at the Lupa restaurant located at 4814 MacArthur Boulevard. And as I said, the other 3 thefts, people left items unattended. One was at Sibley Hospital, one in an apartment building, I think, on Mass Avenue. I'm happy to say we didn't have any package thefts the last 30 days. Again, we have these Amazon boxes. If you're not going to be home or can't get anybody to pick up the package, you can always drop them off or pick them up in front of the 2nd District in our Amazon boxes. And just real quick on traffic, I focused last month. Commissioner Elkins asked me to change it around a little bit. I did. I went to Cathedral on 45th. I watched that stop sign. I got 2 out there. And I bumped it down to Hawthorne as well on 45th. So we're gonna shuffle it around for you. And as always, any one of your commissioners are welcome to accompany me during patrol if you want to jump in the car and go through your respective areas. I focused on MacArthur Boulevard, 4500 and 4600, and we're going to continue to focus on there for a couple of reasons: high visibility, safe passage for the students at the MacArthur High School, and for speed enforcement and other traffic infractions that we may observe. And Arizona and MacArthur, I got 1 red light, and Arizona and Lawboro, 2 stop sign violations. As you know, the last 7 or 8 days, it's been tough doing traffic enforcement. Basically, we've been in the responsive mode, responding to calls for service, vehicles stuck in the snow. But as soon as that snow melts away, I'll be back out there heavy and hard. With that said, any questions or concerns that we could address?
Commissioner Blumenthal?
Thank you. Thank you, as always, Officer McAway, for all your work. I have a question about the auto theft on Galena Place. I heard indirectly, it's a neighbor of mine, that I'm not sure who came to this conclusion, but that theft was somehow enabled by software or by something electronic. Is there any truth to that? It's a little disturbing because that's the first of those I've heard about.
I'll have to look up that report, and I can email you a copy of the public version of that report if you like.
Sure, that'd be great.
And collectively, we could talk about it a little bit more in detail.
Okay. And then I don't know if you have other business, but when we get around to the commissioner updates, we have some news, at least of our observations of the MacArthur, Arizona intersection that I think you'll be interested in.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Yep.
Any other questions? I see no other questions. Any more of the report?
That's it. If there's no other questions, thank you, everybody, and just be safe out there and stay warm.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
From the mayor's office, Owen Cox is here, I believe.
Good evening, everyone. My name is William Owen Cox. I'm the Ward 3 liaison for the mayor's office. Just a quick update. DPW is still working to clear some roadways. They've moved on expected through February 8th to be clearing what they call Tier 2 principal arterial. So those smaller side streets. But the main priority is to prioritize travel lanes and restore mobility through major corridors in the ward. So examples of those would be streets, at least in Ward 3, like Massachusetts Avenue or Military Road. They're also conducting trash pickup. We started this Monday. We have gotten reports that some folks haven't had their trash picked up, but the directive is to leave the trash out as you normally would for whatever day this week your trash goes out. So, for example, my neck of the woods, the trash goes out tomorrow, so I'm putting it out tonight. But if it is not carried away tomorrow morning, the directive is to leave it out for 2 days. DPW will at some point come get it. If after 2 days they haven't come get it, put in a 311 request notifying them of a missed trash pickup. That'll be helpful for the crews so that they can know which areas to prioritize and where to send the crews back if they have any missed trash. We're still dealing with this snowcrete, although luckily this week I think we've gotten some warmer weather, which has helped. They are also clearing alleys that where DPW does do collection of trash and recycling. So it's just working through that thick, heavy snow and ice. But if anyone here does have any issues, alleys that haven't been cleared that see DPW trash or recycling collection, if there's piles of the snowcrete that has been put on private property by DPW or contractors, you might see bobcats or other small front-end loader construction equipment moving snow around. You can reach out to me. I'll put in my contact info in the chat right now. We want to be tracking that, so please, again, feel free to send that over to me. Let me just paste this here, and I'll be glad to flag that for our crews. But I'm open for questions.
Yes, Commissioner Nowak.
Thanks, Owen, for your update and for the work that you and team have been doing on this. For anybody who outside of the ANC, I want to call out that Owen and the entire MOKers team has been really responsive to ANC commissioners, and I think to residents who have reached out to them as well. So first of all, thank you for that. The second thing I want to just clarify for residents around the clearing of alleys, because I've heard from my neighbors that there's some potential confusion around that. So the city doesn't plow alleys for the purposes of getting out your car or, the way they would roadways, but they are in fact just plowing such that they can access the cans. Is that an accurate representation?
Yes, so that is the word that I've gotten. Initially, it was a total no-go. The city doesn't do alleys at all. But then the latest info that I have from DPW is that for, yes, alleys that do service houses for trash and recycling collection, they will be clearing those so that the trucks can get through and make those collections.
Thank you for that clarification. And I have one additional question, and it is around the piles that the plows have left behind. I think that in some especially narrow streets within Foxhall Village, among other places, there's really a challenge at intersections because there are large piles that are making it impossible for cars to make the turn. We've heard anecdotes of FedEx trucks and mail trucks getting stuck and needing to get towed out. Is that a 311 call as well? How might that be handled?
That can go through 311. So we are tracking that. Kendall actually put together a spreadsheet tracker so that we have photos and locations for not only alleys or areas where there's been private property that when we have bobcats moving snow, and let's say they dump it on someone's next to someone's driveway, and make it impossible for the person to get out. We want to be able to know about that, to flag that for the crews so that they can address it. So yes, for stuff like that, you can put in 311 or you could call 311. I'm not sure if they have in the app a specific snow removal category, or you can reach out to me and then I can flag that up. We've already had a few alleyways and roadways where we flag that to either DPW or DDOT. And so we are still on that. And I know it's a concern. So if 311 doesn't help, just text me or give me a call or an email, and I'll be glad to help flag that for the appropriate crews so that they can get on that.
Okay, thank you. And one last, sorry to monopolize, but we have identified a number of sidewalks that have not been shoveled, generally because there aren't residents nearby in front of them. Obviously, if a resident hasn't shoveled, that's the education/enforcement that the mayor talked about. But
Mhm.
there are those where there is just not, they're not in a residential area. So whose responsibility is that? And is that somewhere where the city can help clear those walkways? For example, in front of the reservoir on MacArthur, just south of Reservoir, as an example that comes to mind.
I think it's dependent on who owns the property. So, for example, a lot of types, a lot of where you might see that in Ward 3 would be areas which are owned and operated by the National Park Service. We do have a relationship with them, and we do flag things like that to them. Whether or not they get to it, unfortunately, we don't have any control over them. But we can keep pressing to see if we can get that addressed. So it is dependent on the owner of that property. I think for the reservoir, well, actually, I can find that out, and if it is city responsibility, then I'll flag that to our crews just to check if that is something that they do. But if there are any concerns, best way to flag it to me would be if there's a picture and the nearest address, or even just if it's a block number, like
Sure.
5,000 block of MacArthur Boulevard. That can be really helpful in order to give any crews that are notified an idea of where they go. Some of these crews, they're not from Ward 3 or even from the city. So
Sure.
nailing down exactly where it is the best way that I can get to them or get word to them.
Okay, thank you very much.
Of course.
Commissioner Elkins?
Owen, well, first of all, thank you very much for all the work you did and your colleagues. And certainly there's been some criticism, but I think most of it's unfounded. This was a very, very difficult situation, and I think the city has come through quite well given those circumstances. So I want to start with that. I think I saw the mayor was going to do a post-mortem, which I think, of course, is great. And I hope that she asked you for some advice based on your colleagues, because you've had so much interface with the public about it. And I just wanted to add one thought, and that is, as we all know, residents are supposed to clear their own sidewalks, and this time there was less performance for reasons we all understand why that's true. But there is an emphasis, on having the sidewalks clear so people can walk. And that was particularly important this time around because, at least in my case, and I think I saw an awful lot of examples, people's cars were plowed in. And they really, you couldn't just get out there with a shovel and fix it. So a lot of people were walking. So what happens? Well, you walk down the sidewalk, and all the neighbors have been nice, and they've shoveled the sidewalks, and you get to the intersection. And there's really, what do you do? I mean, unless you're going to risk falling, you're going to have to climb over
The berm.
pile of snow. So I think there's an awful lot of emphasis, as we always see out of the Department of Transportation in particular, about cars are more important than anything else. But in this case, and many cases of snowstorms, pedestrian travel is very important as well. And I think there's no emphasis, as far as I can see, of the city trying to clear the crosswalks. In fact, of course, why are the crosswalks all messed up? Well, because that's where the snow plows put the snow. So there's a conflict here, and I think a little balance maybe, particularly when you get to more of the commercial areas where more and more people, where there's more pedestrian traffic, put it that way, that there should be more emphasis on pedestrian travel as well as vehicular. And I don't think that's in the city plans, and that's why I'm mentioning that to you. I don't think that they have any intention whatsoever of clearing the crosswalks, and that may be another week. So, because it's just going to have to melt away, and I'm not sure that's really a good transportation policy. Thank you.
Sure. I will say quickly, I believe that for some areas, it may only be commercial corridors. I have to look at the language again. But like if a business is on a corner and they're clearing their walkway of snow and ice, I believe it does extend to the curb cuts. And then obviously the crosswalk in the roadway would be cleared by the plow.
Right.
But I can double check on that, and I'll be happy to emphasize it. At my old job with the DoD, we would do after action reports, and that feedback is really helpful because even if it is emphasized or mentioned in any guidance the city has, emphasizing it more so for the next time around, I think is a good idea. So I'm happy to do that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Colin Roosevelt.
Yeah, I think Commissioner Nowak asked a lot of my question, but I've gotten a lot of emails, including one this morning about like driveways being sort of like the snow plows had gone in and they shoveled all the snow in front of the driveway, and some of them are like seniors. Spring Valley has a lot of driveways, and I'm just wondering, I guess. First, they've called 311. There's been like no response. Nothing has happened. It's been a week. They haven't used their driveway in a week, essentially, or more. And I'm wondering if there's sort of maybe a map of like what contractors are plowing certain streets, or if there's sort of just a better way to get into contact with the people who should be coming around and sort of fixing these. Because I think it's happening all over Spring Valley, and it's definitely happening all over the city as well.
Gotcha. So in instances where if trying to contact, for example, through 311, if you're not getting anywhere, you can of course reach out to the Moker's office. For the driveways, I think now I don't want to get ahead of myself or ahead of DPW. Unfortunately, I think it's just like if your car gets kind of snowed in by the plows clearing the roadways. I think it's an unfortunate side effect. But I can circle back with our DPW contacts to see what they have to say about that, and if there's any remedy that residents can get. And I'll be happy to follow up with you once I get an answer. Oh, yeah.
I have a question. It's on behalf of Commissioner Simkowitz, but I'm curious as well. So I read that the mayor asked the National Guard for help with the snow. What happened? Are they helping?
Oh, well, the past week or last week, I was out every day, sometimes with Kendall or other folks from the Mokers team, doing snow QA/QC, so quality assessment and quality control. We're basically following up with what DPW was doing and flagging streets that needed more attention and things like that. And we did see National Guard out there moving folks around. I saw some shoveling, although, and also I believe when this would be this past weekend when we did the salt giveaway, I believe at least in some locations, I was at Wilson Pool, so they weren't there, but I do believe that they were helping out with the distribution there as well. So they were out and about, although I've heard it more than I've seen it. But that's not to say that their contribution was any less important or anything like that. Um, so I think that it is good to have any help with a storm such as this. Um, but of course, I'll give most of the credit to the Mokers team because I know that they all worked really hard. But any help that we got from anyone was certainly very appreciated,
All right.
community or otherwise.
Anyone have any other questions for Mr. Cox? Thank you so much.
Sure. And I do also want to say thank you all and to every ANC commissioner who was also communicating with us because, of course, the Mokers can't be everywhere. So flagging things like streets that weren't plowed or alleyways or issues with snow pileup or anything like that was certainly really, really helpful. It made our jobs easier and we were able to beat back this storm as much as we did thanks to your help. So thank you.
Thank you. Let's move to Councilmember Fruman's office. Kevin,
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay and see me?
we can.
Okay, great. I'm also going to send my notes in the chat here just for so it's easy for you, and I can send them in follow up for your minutes too. Good evening, everyone. For those I haven't met, I'm Kevin Caudill from Councilmember Furman's office. I'm our team's communications director, filling in for Nora tonight. There's so much going on related to the council right now, so I want to open by encouraging all of you and all residents to look out for our newsletter coming out tomorrow. It will have more details on everything I'm about to mention. For those who haven't signed up for that, it's at our website, which I've put there in the chat. So with that said, tonight I want to focus on three things, and then I'm happy to take questions on any specifics you guys have. One is the harmful congressional action this week on the Hill. Two is the ongoing issues with snow and ice, although I won't be redundant to what Owen just said. That was very helpful to listen to. And then also how residents can engage in the performance oversight and budget process that we're currently in. So first on the congressional disapproval and decoupling. So for anyone following the news today, this week, we're closely watching Capitol Hill. This afternoon, the House passed a disapproval resolution. It was 215 to 210 on party line to overturn a local DC law. Specifically, they're targeting our decision to decouple the DC tax code from certain federal provisions that were included in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. If this resolution does become law, it would wipe out our local child tax credit, which we worked very hard to do, including our office, which is projected to cut child poverty by 20%. It also drain about 600 million in local revenue over the next 4 years, potentially triggering another credit downgrade for the district, and we already had one of those. So this is an unacceptable intrusion into our local law and on home rule, and Councilmember Fruman, along with all the council colleagues, has been working with regional partners to oppose this action. You guys might have seen the letter from the mayor's office and the chairman on behalf of the council that went out earlier this week to Congress. The Senate is now scheduled to vote on that measure tomorrow. So we are still working, and hopefully we'll have more updates on that tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. On snow response, again, I'll keep this real brief. I just want to touch on what our office has been doing. Our constituent services team, especially Ashley and Santiago, and the council member continue to respond to hundreds of calls and emails from Ward 3 residents. What we do is we share the location-specific concerns directly with the MOKers, so I'm sure Owen has heard a ton from them with DPW, with DDOT, with DGS, and all the other agencies. So, and we've also been advocating for stronger responses on alleys, sidewalks, and bus stops where residents have flagged those specifics. So thank you all for the work you've done for helping relay those messages. I would just encourage you all to share that residents can please continue to report specifics or hazardous conditions through 311, but they can also contact our office with issues in Ward 3 that need attention. I put our number and email there in the chat. I will echo what Owen said. When you call or email, please include an address or block number or cross streets or some location information to flag so that we can better target the resources where they're needed. So I'll stop there on snow response, but I'm happy to answer other questions as I can, but know that Councilmember Furman's office will continue to press on the specifics and the big issues. And then I just want to touch, and then I'll wrap it up finally on the budget and performance oversight process. So the Committee on Human Services with the council member chairs held a hearing on libraries last week and is holding one, I should say, tomorrow on OCTME, the Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment. There are several upcoming key dates for us that include February 20th is the DIMPED hearing. You guys might have seen that due to Councilmember McDuffie stepping down, some of the committees were reorganized that were previously under his committee, and we have oversight over the Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development, as well as the Office of Lottery and Gaming, were two additions that we have. So that DIMPED hearing is going to be February 26th, and then the Department of Human Service, or excuse me, February 20th. I misspoke there. February 20th for DIMPED. And then February 26th is the first of two hearings on the Department of Human Services, and those will be big ones, obviously. On the budget process, Councilmember Fruman held his annual Ward 3 listening session last Saturday. You guys can watch that on our YouTube page. We heard from residents about a range of issues. I'd say the biggest ones that came up, I moderated that discussion. So I was tuned in. I'd say it was housing development and affordability came up the most, along with support for schools and early childhood and childcare programs. We heard a lot about infrastructure and safer streets. We heard a lot about fiscal accountability generally, and then several urges to prioritize climate resiliency as well, in addition to a lot more. So thank you to everyone who joined or submitted comments for that. If you did miss it, do not worry. We encourage you all to send your budget priorities to our office, and I've included our info there. The council member, we're aiming to send that budget letter to the mayor before the end of this month. So if possible, and if you could share with residents to try to get us their budget priorities and feedback by Friday, February 13th would be great, so we can get that letter sent to the mayor. Again, I'll close by saying, please look tomorrow, look out for our newsletter. It will include additional details on all the things I just mentioned, plus more updates on this week's legislative meeting, bill the council member just co-introduced to ensure child support payments go directly to families, update on the recent sewage spill into the Potomac, which was just terrible. The council member's letter to the zoning commission on keeping the record open on several Ward 3 zoning cases to ensure residents have time to review the Office of Planning analysis, and a lot more. I couldn't fit it all. I didn't want to keep you all night. So with that, thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions you have.
Anyone have any questions? No, I thought that was very good.
Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you all. I do have to drop, unfortunately, but if you guys need anything else from our office or from Nora and follow up, just let me know. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Very good. Is there anybody here for American University? I don't see our normal representatives, but I wanted to make sure. All right, very good. Let's move to George Washington. Kevin Days.
I am here. Good evening, commissioners. I do not have any announcements, but I did want to let you know that we have this emergency connection GW alerts that go to our internal community at GW, and we've gotten permission to add ANC commissioners to get those alerts. So I was coming tonight just to let you know that I will be sending you an email to ask if you want to be added to those GW alerts. I'll need just your email that you want it to go to and a cell phone number if you want to receive texts, but we think it would be very helpful, particularly when we have an emergency like we've had this past winter, that you also get alerts from our system also. So that's all I have for tonight. I will turn over the rest of my time. It's good to see you folks. I was sick last month, which is why I didn't make it, but I did want to make an appearance tonight.
Thank you.
Take care. Take care.
Let's turn to Georgetown University, Corey Peterson.
Hi, good afternoon or good evening, I should say. Corey Peterson, AVP for Community Engagement and Local Government Affairs. A couple of quick updates, and I want to make sure that we introduce someone from our team. First is continuing on with the snow. Wanted to let folks know our Office of Neighborhood Life has been out actively working with properties that we know to have students renting in them privately. And we have been working to make sure that their walks are properly shoveled. We provide winter houses in the neighborhood where we provide shovels and ice melt, and we've gone through thousands of pounds of ice melt out in the community. So if there is a property that hasn't shoveled their walks and you believe students are there, please let us know. We will reach out, we'll follow up, and we want to make sure that we're doing our part to keep our sidewalks safe. A couple of events coming up from our students. We have our annual Cherry Tree Massacre, which is an a cappella concert, both this Friday and the following Saturday on the February 6th and 21st. I have that wrong. Friday this week, Saturday the 21st. I'll put the information in the chat if you'd like to join. We have folks coming from the various universities in the region to sing in Healy Hall. And then our dance company has their spring dance concert coming up on Friday, February 13th. And then I'll also put information if you want to sign up for our newsletter in the chat, as well as my contact information. And from there, I'd like to turn it over to our new Vice President, Adria, to introduce herself.
Good evening, everyone. So nice to be with you. And thank you, Corey, for the introduction. I'm just so pleased to be here and 2 times in district government. And so I do understand the importance of engagement with our ANC partners. And I'm really excited to join the great work that Corey and others have been doing with you on behalf of Georgetown. Don't have any updates other than that. So I'm about a month in, but I'm really excited to get to work with you.
Are there any questions?
No, welcome to this part of the city.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other institutions that have a report to make? For the record, I see that Commissioner Simkowitz is on, so we have all seven. We have all seven commissioners on. Let's move to commissioner updates. Commissioner Elkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would want to just report shortly on the fact that I did testify in these performance hearings last week in 3 different cases. And just so you know what I've been saying, the first one was for DDOT, and you won't be surprised that I was focused on tripping hazards on the district's sidewalks. And I made a number of points, one of which is if you're going to build it, you need to maintain it. Secondly, that their DDOT's philosophy that it's just easier to wait 2 or 3 years and do an entire block instead of repairing the tripping hazard that's available that's there to trip people now is not a very good cost benefit analysis because they don't take into account people's injuries. They need to improve their ability to do cost benefit analysis. It's also an ADA problem for people who are disabled, et cetera. So I'm happy to report that the chairman of the committee is very much in agreement with us. And the question is, what comes of that? The next day, I testified in front of the Office of Neighborhood Commissions and repeated what I've said for the last 4 years, that this commission downtown that's supposed to help us does not help us very much with regard to our main function as ANCs, which is not to hold meetings or make sure our finances are in good shape. Those, of course, are very important, but they're just means to an end. The real end here is for us to help DC agencies provide better services to the constituents in our neighborhood. And OANC doesn't do much at all to help us on that very difficult task. Didn't get much of a rise out of that. After 4 years, I guess I should give up. The last thing I mentioned, which I do want to talk during the business section of this meeting, is I suggested that at the last election, 40% of the commissioners did not run for another term. And the election before that, it was 50%. And here's the important thing. We don't know why commissioners don't run again because no one ever asked them. So in our business meeting, I want to make a suggestion about what to do about that. finally, at the third meeting, I was worn out by this time, but it was on the Department of Buildings illegal construction. And let me just, I've been really working with a group of citizens who have been very severely impacted by the negligence of the department, if I may put it that way. And I essentially opined, just to summarize, that this is not, the Department of Building is not a regulatory agency in any sense of the word, and that until it becomes such, we citizens are going to be at great risk. Um, Not sure what's going to come of that, but we're not finished yet. So that's what I've been doing, and I only mention it because I hope that a lot of these issues are important to people here in 3D, and just want you to know that I'm out there making a big fuss.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Duncan.
I'd like to let everyone know that the next Transportation Committee meeting is Tuesday, February 17th. My co-chairman, Andrew Heimert, and I decided that the regular Tuesdays from 2 to 3:30 are working for people, so we're gonna keep that. Those are virtual. I wanted to let people know of something I'm working on with WMATA. You may or may not remember that last June, WMATA wanted to change the bus stop at MacArthur and Q Street, where they were closing it on one side. It's on MacArthur on one side of Q, and they were going to restore the parking spaces there, and then they were going to move it to the other side of Q Street. Well, and then do some no turns and some stop bar changes. They made all of the changes except for they never added the new bus stop. And so the residents who take that bus stop there, or the students who want to go west towards Sibley, have to walk all the way to Elliott. Anyway, it's my mission now to get that bus stop restored. They basically did part of the NOI and then never put the bus stop there. And I'd like to add that when they did the Better Bus Network, we were not supposed to lose a single bus stop, and we've already lost one. They tried to close the one at the Chase Bank at Arizona and MacArthur, but I pointed out to them that it was never the plan for them to do that, and that's the transfer from the C85 to the D94 or the C81, whichever one is down there. And they restored it, but they closed another one at Edmonds. So I don't know. I'm annoyed with them. There is a survey going on for WMATA. They have a budget feedback opportunity. I have put my comments in there. It runs until February 10th. I'm probably going to post it to the listserv and get people to post about these closures. And that's all I have. Mostly
Very
bus.
good. Commissioner Cologne Roosevelt.
Yeah, the Friends of Spring Valley Park rescheduled their invasive species plant removal because of the weather to April 11th. Also, DDOT is starting construction near the intersection of 49th and Glenbrook on the like green infrastructure they've been talking about. So like the curb extension, bioretention areas, drainage improvements. If anything, if you see anything wrong with the construction, anything about parking, there should be signs everywhere, but just send me an email.
Very good. Commissioner Blumenthal.
I have some good news to share about the Arizona MacArthur intersection and the related cut through traffic that's been a focus of this ANC for 2 years, going on 3. Commissioner Duncan shared with me and us that the news that the George Washington Parkway work completed at long last in December. And everything I say is going to pertain to traffic. Traffic was obviously very light during the holidays, and it has been a completely different animal since the snowcrete hit us. But in that period between the holidays and last week, there's a very noticeable decline in volume. I'm going on vibes here, as people younger than me like to say. But I mean, Commissioner Duncan, you've seen it. We just haven't seen the same craziness. The backup at the light headed inbound on MacArthur is down to like one light cycle most of the day, as opposed to backing all the way up to Cathedral or beyond. The other piece that's helpful is that we were told by our DDOT community relations rep at the Transportation Committee meeting, I think it was in December, that they had finally reached someone at Google and the other navigation companies that are related, and that the problem of having traffic navigated through my streets through traffic restriction between 4 and 6:30, it was fixed. I didn't see that immediately, but in this period, 3 or 4 times in the middle of January, I have been for months and months. I will go on during that time and tell Google Maps to navigate me from Sibley Hospital to someplace in Virginia. And every single day, in the restricted time and not, it would cut through our neighborhood. And you could see the related lineup where we would have backups on Carolina Place, but not on the other 2 streets, or on Potomac, or on Sherrier. Well, in late January, that's gone. I'm not seeing that, we're not seeing that at all. Fingers crossed. I haven't, had the time to sort of watch it during the day, but the volume's been so low that there's been no need to route anybody through the streets. So this is great. Now, this doesn't mean that the problem is done. We're still subject to, whenever there's an accident on Canal or on the Beltway, or there's some dislocation, we're going to have these backups, as we always have. And the problem becomes one that's more of speeding and reckless driving and and stop sign running by the drivers that do still venture through. But this ANC was a squeaky wheel a lot over the last year and a half, and I think we have results from that.
Thank you very much. I have a short report, and that is that Black Coffee is back for a pop-up at Black Salt on Saturdays and Sundays. So on Saturdays, it's open until 11 as a pop-up, and on Sundays until 2 p.m. So go there. I mean, when the snow allows you to, it's great. Commissioner Nowak?
Yeah, I have a couple of things, but quickly I'll say, following up on Commissioner Blumenthal's note about MacArthur in Arizona, I was there at 5:30 today, headed inbound, and found the traffic to be much more manageable and pleasant than anticipated. So just an anecdote in support of what he's hearing and seeing. My annual PSAs that we counted me for DC Tag is now open. For those unfamiliar, DC Tag is a program for DC resident high school students that then become college students at either a state university or an HBCU. And there's exciting news this year in that the DC Tag, which has traditionally been $10,000 per year per student, has been increased to $15,000 per year per student. So huge increase, great for all of you who have students that are younger than seniors in college. No bitterness by me at all. That program is open now, closes in August. There is a potential for it to run out of money every year. I don't know if it ever has, but there is a potential. So I always encourage constituents to get your application in early. For those students who are not yet at college, the DC School Choice Lottery is open for grades PK through 8. It closes on March 2nd. As a reminder, pre-K students do not have a by right seat in their local school, so you need to enter your student in the lottery, even if it's at your local school. So I encourage you to do that. That's for pre-K 3 and 4. Once the student gets to kindergarten, you would only need to go into a lottery if you want to go to a school that is outside of that to which you are zoned via your boundary. Information on those DC Tag at dc or .dc.gov, and I think it's called My Choice DC is the school choice lottery. that is it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Simkowitz?
Thank you, Chairperson Horn. I attended the Georgetown University Martin Luther King Legacy of Dream event and saw the Thompson family. I went to school with Ronnie Thompson at Georgetown, and the family's very excited about our name change from MacArthur to Coach Thompson High School. That's all the reports that I have.
Thank you very much. That's great. We have no discussions, so let's move right to official actions. And I don't see Claudio yet, right?
I'm not sure he is going to be able to join, but I see Kelly Morissette from the contractor, and I think we can proceed.
Why don't we proceed with that?
Sure. And
Mr. Chairman, did we
just
avoid,
dropped off as I said
did
that.
we miss community comments, Mr. Chairman?
Oh, you
I
are
missed-
so right. You are so right. My mistake. This is a time when members of the community can speak on some topic that's not on the agenda. So if you have something that you want to talk about that's not on the agenda, please raise your hand. And I don't see anybody, which is normal for our meetings because we put everything on the agenda. But thank you. We were required to ask that. So let's go on to Claudia's table, public space improvements. Commissioner Blumenthal, did you want to set us up?
I would. So I forgive me if I have the rules of order out of order, but I'll be submitting a motion to send a letter to ask DDOT to provide relief to the owner of Claudia's table on the scope of work that I'm going to describe. I'm going to share my screen.
I'll second that motion.
All right, thank you. Someday I'll learn it. Let me share a photo. Hopefully you can see a Google Maps photo from my screen.
Looks good.
As part of the work on the sewer line, the general contractor, Maisel Construction, had to cut and patch a 3-foot square that is roughly represented by that green line. In fact, I was told that that's actually a little big. Mr. Duncan and I were there, and it is currently covered by snowcrete, and so we can't see it. But I'm told that it doesn't quite get up. So the green line is where they had to do a cut. And there is currently if I remember right, there is a
I can kind of jump in, Mark, if that would be helpful.
Go ahead.
Hey,
sure.
So thank you, everyone. I'm Kelly Morissette. I am the project manager over here with W&M Contracting, which also used to be Maisel Construction, and many people who've been in the DC area will have heard of us. We've been around for about 40 years. So what this is all coming to is running a storm sewer. I'm sure a lot of people who've seen Claudio's so far, they're putting a huge, beautiful, wonderful patio out on the front. And essentially we had to run a storm sewer line just for, because we don't want to have anything, I can't think of the word right now. We don't want to have anything just end up on the street. So we ran a storm sewer underneath where is currently a curb cut that we are actually eliminating per DC, right to the manhole. So Mark is absolutely correct. That green area, which was my rough drawings on a snap or a snip from a Google Earth and Google Maps, is roughly a 3x3 patch that's actually already in place. We've already done that, put the patch in place, called it a day. The blue area represents if DC wanted us to do about a foot out in each direction. Mark is exactly correct. I wasn't able to upload the photo yet today, but the patch doesn't actually even extend into the manhole cover at all. It sits back from it. But as Mark mentioned, there's snow blocking everything. But more importantly, and the reason we're here and the reason we've engaged Mark is that there was a DDOT representative that came by and told my super that they wanted us to, or they wanted more specifically Claudio, To repave the entire yellow square that you see.
Okay. Thank you,
Sorry,
Kelly.
go ahead.
Let me take
Yeah,
it back.
please. Sorry.
So,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
so we are going to the motion is to request that DDOT allow Claudio's to just mill and patch the area in the blue within the blue line. Why would we want to do this? And I'm going to stop sharing. Let's just start at the top. Claudio Perillo is the owner of both Claudio's Table and Et Voila, which are jewels of our neighborhood, and they're two of the better restaurants in the region, not just our neighborhood. I know we all have they draw people to our neighborhood. Claudio has been a good neighbor and a good partner with this ANC in negotiating the settlement agreement for this expansion, which, among other things, will involve he's expending a fair amount of money to improve the public space. That space, which was Choose Cleaners up until they bought it, was before I lived here, but not that long ago. It was a gasoline station, and there are still the lanes in and out. This improvement will remove all the curb cuts on MacArthur and most of Cathedral and replace put lawns in place and add new trees. They're also spending a fair bit of money to save they're saving both a legacy tree that's on the adjoining property that the church owns, and also a not legacy, but very sick looking tree that's on MacArthur. They're putting out a lot of money for this. And the difference in cost between patching that 5-foot square piece and doing 2 lanes of traffic on MacArthur is the contractor has estimated for us probably about $30,000 difference. That's a lot for a restaurant owner operating on a thin margin. Claudio's not here because he's working his line side, which is a typical, that's not uncommon for restaurants. So that's the gist of it. It's all in the letter. The motion will need some language to clean up the first paragraph and merge it with the second, so that we are clear on what we're voting on. But other than that, I open it up to discussion by commissioners. And Chuck, go ahead.
This is the same Department of Transportation that when we had a builder who was violating his permit, and we suggested he might build a short sidewalk, the Department of Transportation said, oh, no, we wouldn't want him to do that. Now, here they are when it comes down to vehicles, and they have more money they can possibly throw a stick at for paving roads. They want this restaurant to do it. I am very much in favor of this letter. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yes, Commissioner Duncan.
I am also in favor of this letter. And I think what they're asking a small business who's trying to get open is absolutely outrageous. And if you contrast this, as Commissioner Elkin said, with what happened on Eskridge, it's mind-boggling. And I'd also like to point out that there's 3 curb cuts that are going to be closed, which is new curb and gutter, sidewalk repour. They're upgrading the knee wall. We're getting a lot of public space improvements that, frankly, has been kind of a dingy corner in this little commercial intersection that we have. And it's just going to be a whole new fresh face. And I know Commissioner Blumenthal and I behind the scenes are going to make sure this happens. So hopefully we get everyone's support.
Thank you, Commissioner Nowak.
Yeah, I just rise to speak in support of the effort. Also, maybe for slightly different reasons. I just think this is way overreaching by DDOT, even in a vacuum, without comparing it to other instances where DDOT has opined. The disruption to the pavement for Claudio's work that he's required to do is 3 or 4 feet, linear feet, and a couple of feet. So, call it less than 10 feet square. And by that drawing, it looks like they're looking for 5, 6, 8 times that much in repavement. And
It's actually 1,000 square feet.
Oh my God. Compared to what,
It's
Kelly? What is your proposal? How many square feet in your proposal?
I think right now there's a 9 square foot patch. That's
Right.
literally the cut.
So they
Um,
literally want 100 times what
yeah,
is being disruptive. It's just
yeah,
insane. So
yeah.
yeah.
Sorry,
Okay.
not didn't want to like cut you off on that,
No,
but it
no,
was
thank
it
you.
was
That's
not
helpful.
only it was not
That's
only that they
helpful.
wanted 1,000 square feet, but they also wanted the restriping and they wanted all of this. And Mark had done a really good job sharing that it wasn't too long ago where that had all been redone. So it's not you're not even dealing with a street that's already decrepit or
Was
something else there. Yeah.
as some neighbors may remember, the summer of 2023, there was some, I think, water line work on that section of MacArthur, so it was repaved. And the middle lane, the far lane, the lane that's closer to the median, is already showing cracks unrelated to this construction or anything
Yeah.
Cloudie is doing. And they're essentially asking them to clean that up.
Well, how enterprising of DDOT that they would outsource the work that they need to do to small businesses who are just trying to repair small damages. It's insane.
Any other comments or questions? And do we need to accept a friendly amendment in order to fix some language? Was that what I understood? So the
Yes.
friendly amendment is that we'll clean up the language, but it won't change the meaning.
Yes, and you can be more specific. It's to the first paragraph, just needs to be merged with the second.
Okay. Any other discussion before we vote? All right, all in favor of this letter? Aye. 7 in favor. It's unanimous. Thank you. Let's move to 4928 Indian Lane, a BZA application. Commissioner Duncan, you're going to explain this one?
Thank you all
Motion.
for your time. Sorry, I'm gonna
Thanks,
log off
Kelly.
so you guys
All
can
right,
hear.
thank
Thank you all
you.
so much for your time.
Motion on the floor is to approve the public space application for this property on Indian Lane. Do I have a second?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. It's not a public space. I'm going to redo this. Motion on the floor is to approve a BZA application for this property on Indian Lane. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Nowak. Chairman Horn, we talked about this briefly last time. This is a property that wants to build an office in the back, and the lot is a little bit wonky, and they're looking for relief for just on the corner where this addition is going to be for a setback. One of the things we were not aware of last time was what kind of communication with the neighbors there has been. The homeowner has heard from all three adjacent neighbors, one on each side and one behind. And one neighbor has just offered full support. The other neighbor had asked some questions about stormwater runoff, and David Landsman is the engineer on this, and they are getting a drawing to the neighbors to let them know that all is well. And the other neighbors had expressed concern about the shared driveway, but this addition is on the other side of the house from where their shared driveway is. So that is a moot point, in my opinion. And so I would like to open it up for questions any commissioners might have. And I do know that Mr. Sullivan, their attorney, is here. And I think Mr. Landsman is here for questions too.
Other questions? Yes, Commissioner Elkins.
Commissioner Duncan, I'm really happy to hear about your report on the neighbors. I think all these different issues that come in front of us with regard to land use vary in terms of their intensity, et cetera. I'm particularly sensitive, I hope the commission will be, to BCA kind of situations as opposed to just a curb cut here or a curb cut there. Just to make sure that neighbors are heard. Now, that doesn't mean they get any kind of veto, in my mind, anyway. But it's just important that not only they be informed, but have a chance to um, speak to the neighbor and really see if they have any real concerns. Because sometimes these these BZA applications can be imposing on the neighborhoods, and it's just important to the neighbors to have a chance to speak up. So I just wanted to thank you for getting that information. That resolves any of my concerns about this, and I think it makes sense going forward.
I think that the applicant sent certified letters with the plans to make sure. I'm not sure the residents are that surround this area are always there. I think people have maybe multiple residents, so they really made an effort to reach out.
I think it helps not just to send a letter, but also to hope, not just hope that they don't reply, but in fact,
No,
reach
and this
out,
was
you know.
also emails back and forth, so
Right.
there's
I
like
think
a
that's
record that they
important.
can submit.
Right. Thank
Is there any other discussion about this, or should we vote?
Let's
All
call the
right.
question.
Let's call the question. All in favor of the letter in the Indian Lane property? 7 votes in favor. That passes. Let's move to 3000 Chainbridge Road. Commissioner Elkins.
So this is one of these cases I think is just to close a curb cut and open up another one. I sent around the drawings. Basically, if you were to keep the current curb cut, it would run straight into the new house this person wants to build. So of course they'd like to close that, and instead put right next to where that is a lead walk right into the front door of the house. And that makes sense. And then they want to open up a driveway at the edge of the lot, so they can have a curb cut, on a driveway. And it really is a very simple change. And so therefore, I'm recommending that we take a position of no objection to this.
Is there any other discussion or questions about this? Seeing none, I think we should vote. All in favor of the commissioner's motion? 7 in favor. The next one is snow removal letter. That's mine. Catherine, could you put this removal letter up so that people can see what the language is right now? It was my intention to have some opportunity for people to complain about their specific circumstances. And, I got a number of complaints, and my draft lists the addresses that were the biggest problems. And then in addition, there was some other language that was recommended by Commissioners Duncan and Elkins. So if you can read this, it begins by, praising the efforts, but the problem is that many residents got little or no snow plowing even many days later. And it lists a few examples. I welcome any other examples you want to put here. And then it asks or suggests that they do a postmortem afterwards to see what they can do better. The snowplow tracker dashboard in particular was a problem because it showed that parts had been plowed, and our residents could look out their windows and see that it was not plowed. So it was just inaccurate. And then, for quite a good time, the 311 website was not responsive, and you couldn't get anybody to pick up on the 311 phone line either, which is understandable, but very frustrating to people. And Commissioner Elkins had this language near the end where what's really important is the lack of two-way communication between the district and its residents, which undermined confidence in the government's stories about how difficult it was. And we know it was difficult, but it undermined that, and that it's important for them to, in this postmortem, to work on that problem of communication so that people are not disappointed, that they're told what they can be told and that it's as accurate as the city can make it. So that's the proposal. Does anybody have any comments or debate or additions or subtractions?
Just for formality, can we put a motion on the floor to approve this
Oh
letter?
gosh. Yes, I am so sorry. I move that this letter be adopted. Is there a second?
I second that.
Okay. Commissioner Elkins.
Just to elaborate on this communication issue, you noticed that when we got a report from Owen, that he and his colleagues were out doing QA/QC on the on the performance of the plowing, et cetera. And that's great. They did a great job of that. But doesn't that sort of raise the issue of is that the kind of job we expect mokers to do? They're supposed to be in the communication business, helping all of us know what's going on, et cetera. And instead, they're in the position of trying to report to the district about what maybe they are failing to do. It's all maybe it's sort of the same, but what I'm saying is that in postmortem, looking at what happens next time, that more emphasis on the communication is important because my sense in hearing from constituents is they lost faith in the district, and there were some pretty nasty things said about the district, which I didn't think were justified. Quite frankly, I think it was a really tough situation, and so criticizing the district, just point blank is not justified. But part of it was the inability for them to be heard, and to know what was going on. And I think a little bit more on the communication side would have been beneficial.
Can I just supplement that?
Yes.
I think that the postmortem should include specifically the response of 311, because while we can use this as the catalytic event to start that audit of 311, I personally have been subject to calling in a 311 request and a few days later find that the ticket has been closed with nothing having happened. So I'd love to, and I think what is happening with 311 is that when they hand off a ticket to DPW, to DDOT to fill in the agency, 311 closes it out because they feel their role is as the dispatcher to an agency, not actually tracking the event that was called in. So that goes a little bit beyond the scope of the snow, but I think it goes to the frustration that residents felt during the snowstorm.
Yes, Commissioner Blumenthal.
Yeah, I just very quickly say, partly I put up my hand because I wanted to say a thank you to Commissioner Nowak, who has done a terrific job sharing the Department of Public Works updates on trash collection on the listserv. Every time I think I'm going to put it up there, she is there. and you did a better job. I just to the general point about communication, it seemed like, particularly for the first couple of days of the storm, that in some ways there was less communication than usual at a time when there really needed to be much, much, much more. Even if it was, I understand the instinct to not want to promise, to say we can't make promises because who knows, but that also led to a sort of situation where they were just sharing nothing. And on DPW, for members of the community who are here, commissioners' email boxes get flooded on Friday afternoons, just flooded with all kinds of stuff. And one of which is a weekly Department of Public Works update on trash collection mist and status of things like that. And the remarkable thing was, on the eve of the storm, we didn't get any of that. At least I didn't. And we didn't get it Monday. We didn't get it Sunday. We didn't get it Tuesday. There was a line on a website that Commissioner Nowak noticed and put a note on the listserv about, but that was it. And I don't understand why that happens. So enough said.
Commissioner Duncan?
I just want to make a general comment about 311. If you go and do it on your desktop, you can do 311.dc.gov, or there's a great app. You bypass the call center and your requests go straight to the agency. And I have had 80% more success with 311 when you use the electronic system. I think that there's just a bigger electronic record. And I think the people who need to see it, it's going directly to there. So I actually I don't do any 311 through calling anymore. I use the desktop, or I use the app, and I use my ANC email.
Is it called 311, the app?
311.dc.gov. And it's
And
like anyone in the public can do it too.
And Commissioner Duncan, I think you mean the website?
Yeah, there's a
that's the
website. So
website.
yeah,
And did you say that there's an app as well?
There is, but it's more limited.
I find the app absolutely amazing because I can take a picture on my phone, upload it.
Okay.
And it is called, at least on the Google, the Android store, it's called DC 311.
Yep.
So maybe Commissioner Duncan can tell us on the App Store if it's the same for Apple
It is.
users.
It's DC 311. I find the interface actually pretty good. And if you don't find exactly what you want, think of the agency you think might do that request and just send it.
Yeah, that's great.
Very good. Anything else? Anything else about this letter? So if I heard right, there was a request for a friendly amendment to be more specific about 311. And if that's so, then I would accept that as a friendly amendment. Is that your impression of where we're at here?
Yes, and I don't know, Mr. Chairman, if you were speaking to my feedback, but I think anything that we can do to lean in to that communication aspect, that the snow was the symptom, but is the real disease the communications?
Okay. Will do. So shall we vote on this letter? All in favor? 7 in favor. It's unanimous. Let's move to the stormwater retention. That's Commissioner Duncan. I see Jason Millison is here, and I wonder if he wanted to update something about the university, or you're just on review.
Yes, I did just jump on. I'm sorry I'm late, everyone. So I'm assuming I missed my section. I was only planning on sharing information about upcoming events, but was there something brought up about AU or a question on the agenda?
Nothing. No.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. But yeah, just wanted to drop the latest events that are coming up for February into the chat. We just dropped our strategic plan at AU and also a new initiative called America 250 Plus, which is going to tie together a lot of our events with the theme of the biquincentennial for the rest of 2026. So I was just going to drop those in. And I know this was a pretty taxing period for Ward 3 and for all over the district. So I definitely don't want to get in the way of the conversations you guys are already having. So if there's no other questions for me, I'll just drop it in the chat.
That is perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Commissioner Duncan, the funding for stormwater retention letter.
The motion on the floor is to pass a letter that is going to be sent to several people on establishing permanent funding for our soon to be installed bioretention curb cut facilities. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Horn. So I would like to shout out to our resident, Mr. Derry Allen, who testified on this matter and wrote a great letter that is going to be sent, individual letters, they're all the same, to Mayor Bowser, the director of DDOT, the director of the Department of Energy and Environment, the CEO of DC Water, Matt Fruman, Charles Allen, who is the chair of DOEE and DDOT committees. And the gist of the letter is if we put the maintenance of these bioretention facilities into the budget every year, and we suspect it's going to be somewhere between $4 and $11 million. It's hard to exactly know that it's going to be on the chopping block every year that we have to tighten our belts on our spending. Whereas we all know that DC Water has this new impervious surface charge that is supposed to help fund these things. And the idea behind this is to send it to all these people so that someone has the brilliant idea to get to DC Water and say, hey, we think that the maintenance of these facilities should be wrapped up in this fee that you collect. And I am going to share my screen because there is a an amendment from Commissioner Elkins. Can you all see this in yellow? From what was posted on the website, this is just one of the example to Charles Allen. The letter will, a friendly amendment to include this language in yellow. And then I think I am also going to attach Derry Allen's testimony as an attachment to the letter. And then there'll be individual letters going out to all those people that I said. And I am ready for questions.
Are there any questions or comments?
I have a question about the impervious surface charge. We saw on the listserv that, well, we know that that's been put on hold. Forget about the listserv, that it was rolled out and then clawed back. Is there any timing concern, Commissioner Duncan, vis-a-vis when that charge will go into effect and getting this included in that? Do those timings line up?
So the thing is, the charge already exists. I just don't know how that money is disseminated. They just need to make some upgrades. So they're trying to raise money. So they're updating everybody what they're charged. So there is a fund that's already there. This is actually not that much money in the grand scheme of things. So I am not going to, I would prefer not to mention that, but I think that we're 6 or 8 months away from them rolling out that new thing, if I have a sense. We invited them to come to this meeting with their new plan, and we haven't heard anything from them.
Commissioner Elkins?
Well, I just wanted to put it just a little bit in context. Derry Allen and I both worked for the Environmental Protection Agency. We see this in the larger context in this sense that the part that EPA came to the district many years ago and said, you need to do something about your stormwater. You're dumping it into the Potomac, and when a heavy rain comes, you're dumping it along with sewage. Because there's an overflow, you need to fix this. And here's what you need to do. You need to build some tunnels and that you can, like subway tunnels, that basically can store this water until it can be treated at the treatment plant. And secondly, if you don't want to build the additional tunnel that we were telling you to do, you can do some things like green infrastructure. So the department decided, as far as I understand it, to decide, well, we'll do some green infrastructure instead of building an additional tunnel. Well, it saved them some money, but it's all part of the same program. the whole thing is to try to keep as much stormwater from going into, particularly during a heavy storm, to keep it from going into the treatment plant and therefore overwhelming it, and to keep it out of the Potomac. So it makes perfect sense for this part of the program, which EPA said you got to do, the federal EPA, to be part of the same financing, but for whatever reason, of course, it isn't. And so I think Derry's suggestion, incorporated in this letter, makes a lot of conceptual sense. It's not just sort of like, well, here's a piece of funding. Why don't we just latch on to this? No, it's all part of the same program.
Very good. Any other questions or comments about this? Seeing none, all in favor of this letter? 7 votes in favor, it's unanimous. The next is the request from the John Thompson High School for holiday work hours. Commissioner Nowak?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the John Thompson High School, formerly known as MacArthur High School, is continuing with their school expansion. They're now in phase 3 of construction. And in order to meet the tight deadlines at each phase, the construction team has asked us to approve their teams working on district holidays. It's pretty pro forma. We see this with most construction projects, and we have approved this at least twice in the past. So the letter that would go to the Department of Buildings indicates that the ANC is in support of those teams working on legal holidays. I did make one revision to their request. They listed all of the holidays, and I asked the support of the ANC in drawing the line and telling them that they cannot work on Christmas Day. Because it is standard on their list of requested holidays. And I think, if nothing else, the residents of that neighborhood might get one break a year on holidays. And so Christmas was the last of the year. And so that was the one that I chose. So I asked the support. Oh, sorry, I should ask for a second and for this letter to grant this authorization.
Commissioner Simkowitz, seconds.
Any questions? And this would be during the normal work hours of 8 to 6. It is, although we have previously authorized the team to work slightly longer hours, those longer hours do not apply to the holidays.
Are there any questions or comments about this letter? Seeing none, all in favor of this letter? 7 in favor, it's unanimous. Let's move to commission business. The DDOT oversight testimony. This is Commissioner Duncan.
Commissioner Horn, we missed the 4403W, the curb cuts.
When we adopted the agenda, we pushed it off to next month. The reason is that they delayed the date for receiving comment to March 26th. So we have plenty of time.
So 4403 will be on March whatever.
Yes, the 4th, March 4th.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The DDOT oversight testimony, is this Commissioner Duncan's?
So yes, the motion on the floor is to approve this testimony. It's on the removal of the Arizona Avenue bike lanes that co-chairman of the Transportation Committee, Andrew Heimert, submitted to the council. And I just wanted to give it some extra oomph. Do I have a second? Commissioner Nowak seconds the motion. Mr. Heimert really lays out exactly what happened and asks some questions that hopefully will get asked of DDOT. And if we can send a follow-up saying, hey, this was also approved by the whole commission, I think that will mean something.
Commissioner Elkins?
You're muted.
I believe this is an excellent letter, but there's one little technical point that I think I would recommend deleting one sentence.
Okay.
This is on page 4. It's number 7 among the questions that the committee might ask.
Yeah.
It says DDOT rejected 2 unanimous votes of ANC for installing and then retaining the Arizona PBL. Do you consider that rejection to have nonetheless given great weight to ANC's views? Mr. Hyman has not gone through the training of ANC commissioners in which we're told that great weight does not mean that the agency is supposed to actually give more consider our things as our ideas as more important than others' ideas. It's simply a concept that they need to reply point by point to our comments, which they did not do in this case. So he is correct that they did not give us great weight, but this sentence implies a different interpretation of great weight. And this is such a obvious point downtown that I think we should I'm suggesting that in number 7, we just delete the second sentence or reword it in some way that actually reflects the real court interpretation of what great weight means.
What if we said DDOT rejected 2 unanimous votes of the ANC for installing and then retaining the Arizona PBL? Considering the ANC is given great weight, I want to say we never got a detailed explanation of why they
Yeah, and DDOT failed to respond to the ANC's council as is mandated by.
That's a gripe. That's obviously a gripe. And so we need to phrase it as a question, but I think I could phrase that as a question.
Yeah. Can we do it as simply as did DDOT respond to the ANC's letter? And
They
if
did.
not, why not?
Yeah. Did they respond to the ANC letters point by point as required by the statute under great
And
weight?
if not, why not?
Yeah.
And if not, why not?
Okay, because they did respond, but I wouldn't say.
Right?
But they didn't go point by point.
Point by point.
Right.
Well, that is required, as I understand it, by the court decision. It's been a little while since I've looked at this, but I think that's basically a fair interpretation.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? That's a friendly amendment that you'll take care of. All in favor of this letter as amended? 7 in favor, it's unanimous. The next is to create, the question is whether to create a digest for transportation resolutions. Commissioner Elkins, can you explain?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Back in the previous year's budget, this commission authorized an expenditure of up to maybe $1,000 for the administrator to assist my effort on behalf of ANC 3D to produce a digest of all the resolutions being passed across the city with regard to various topics. We'd done a pilot of this in previous months, and this is an idea that maybe we would revive this since OANC has decided not to do this. Because we sit here in a silo, we know what we know about our community and what kind of resolutions we're passing, but I'm willing to bet none of us really know what the other 45 ANCs are passing, and that may have very similar concerns that we have about some of these same services. So we are in the dark, and this digest that we published for a few months back in 2022 was helpful. It was my thought in November 2024 that I might have the bandwidth to do this. I have found that I have not, but recently found a number of colleagues across the district who are interested in transportation, and I think I realize that an awful lot of resolutions are being passed with regard to transportation that we don't know anything about. So I'm not sure I have the bandwidth yet. It seems like my bandwidth gets slower, narrower and narrower as I get older. But if I do, I would like the assistance of our administrator to just do some of the administrative work so that I could provide this commission with a digest on a periodic basis, either every month or maybe every quarter, about what other ANCs are doing with regard to transportation. I think this can increase our effectiveness in dealing with this department. Just taking the example, what are they doing with regard to bike lanes? We have one very serious problem that we just wrote a letter about Arizona. Are they threatening to do the same thing somewhere else in the district, et cetera? Are they building any more protected bike lanes? Does anybody want them to build protected bike lanes? Does anybody know? No, we don't know because we don't have time to read this. So that's what the purpose of this be. And so I'm sorry to keep going on. The purpose is to ask the commission to authorize the expenditure of up to $1,000 by the administrator to help in the assistance of producing this kind of information for our commission. Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
I have a question. Previously, there had been discussion of a digest of all resolutions around the city. Are we now limiting it just to transportation related issues?
Well, I was trying to limit my bandwidth, yes. But I do agree with you. It would be much more useful if it were across the whole board. I tried to go into the mayor's portal earlier this week, and of course my password didn't work. So I'm not really sure at this point the difference in the workload.
Is there, and to be clear, I'm supportive of whatever the scope would be, narrow or broad, but I am curious, is there no function with OANC to do this? Is it just the mayor's portal that one would have to poke around in, or are they supposed to be collecting this?
Absolutely. You're lucky if they're all in the mayor's portal. When we did it before, a number of ANCs would say, "You didn't include us in the newsletter." And I said, "Well, did you list it in the portal?" "Well, no, we didn't list it in the portal." But OANC certainly doesn't know, or certainly isn't compiling what is going on.
How
Perhaps
does one get it into the portal? Is Catherine uploading our resolutions today into the portal just for 3D? Yes.
Best, but I too have had a heck of a time getting into the portal. So the last 2 months have not been put in the portal. I do have a name of someone that supposedly can help with resolution portal access. So Chuck, if you don't have that person's name, I'll be happy to share it.
all right, that'd be good. And maybe I should amend my resolution with the permission of the chair that if bandwidth allows, it could be expanded beyond transportation to other topics.
Yeah, we probably need to then extend the budget accordingly. If we think $1,000 just covers transportation.
No, $1,000 was good for the whole thing, I think. I don't have a good sense of how different the work is to do just transportation versus doing the whole thing. In the past, the administrator wrote much of it for me, and we're not. We'd have to actually go through the process. But he was able to do this so that on a yearly basis it would be less than $1,000. It's not if you can get into the portal, it's not that much difficulty.
So just sort of doing the math, $1,000 is less than 30 hours across the year.
Right.
So 2.5 hours a month. Do you think that's reasonable to do?
Yeah, well,
it sounds like it's larger than that.
That's a good point. No, his estimate was more like 4 hours. So maybe
4 hours a month.
Maybe I haven't done my math very well, have I?
Well, we're 2 months into the year, so that helps with the budget potentially.
Right. But so then 10 months times 4 hours be 40 hours for this calendar year times the current rate. So we could just extend it. Maybe that would be the vote, Chuck, to whatever that math works out to be.
All right, that would be helpful. Thank you. Perhaps we just say 5 hours just to be safer. 5 hours per month, no more than 5 hours a month for this fiscal year. If I can amend that way, and then maybe we need to ask for another second, Mr. Chairman, to make sure people want
Yeah,
to.
I would second that. Yeah.
All right. Is there any more discussion of this? All in favor? Seven votes. It's unanimous.
I think we're down to 6.
No,
Yeah, I think
we have a vote that's sideways, if you like. You see
I see
Commissioner
it.
I
Simquist?
voted
Oh, he's
yes.
there with Lauren.
Yes.
I voted yes.
Thank you. Let's move to the survey of retiring ANC commissioners. Commissioner Elkins.
Did you mention the survey? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I testified, as I mentioned, in front of OANC that we'd had 40% people who didn't run again. And yet we don't know why they don't run because nobody ever asked them. And of course, I'm just sure there's a wide variety of reasons, but I think part of the reason that some of them don't run again is because they find that they can't be as effective in helping their neighborhood as they expected. So I would expect that to be some of the solution, but other people would find that it's way more work than they expected, et cetera. So that would help then guide what kind of services that you might want to get from OANC, et cetera. I think this would be very helpful to the council and to the office. But I have to tell you that based on the response, which was 0 to my suggestion at the hearing, that I don't really anticipate that OANC will take this on its own. And I wanted to raise that here within this commission, and then I would raise it with maybe people across the city as well. Does this make sense to do a survey and maybe some exit interviews afterwards about why people have decided not to serve any longer? And many of these people serve only one time, one term. And then try to put that into some kind of meaningful report that's helpful to the city. So I just want to see whether people think that this makes some sense, or whether perhaps someone on the commission here would be willing to be part of a group that would put this survey together. I'm looking particularly at someone who just raised his hand as someone who is really very good about asking the right questions and not biasing it with my prejudices about why they might be leaving. Did you leave because you were really mad at OANC? No. Anyway, go ahead, Mark.
Thank you for the vote of confidence. I actually put my hand up because I was going to warn that. I think there's obvious value if you can survey in a representative way commissioners who leave, but I just imagine, especially if it's a year or more after they've stepped down, that actually getting a representative sample would be difficult. I'm sure there is an email list.
I would start in August,
so.
Commissioner. We know August.
The fear is like, if you stop being commissioner because you found the burden of stuff to be overwhelming, this is exactly the kind of request you wouldn't, you'd be less inclined to complete. And it just makes it challenging, right? Like anytime we do this is my profession, and this is the pitfall of my profession. Anytime you look at a survey, you need to ask, is it possible that the subject of the survey made an important kind of person not participate on the thing that we're trying to measure? And this is one where I worry about it. Well, the notion of trying to getting someone within the government to do a sort of routine exit interview, I think I would have more faith in that if depending on who did it. than just trying to email, getting a list and dumping an email list, sending an email to a list and just seeing what comes back, because it's so hard getting unsolicited, replies to emails unsolicited, particularly from the kind of people who are going to be, on the receiving end of a lot of stuff from the District of Columbia.
Well, I
That's
would
my
also,
concern.
this is your profession and not mine, but I would say, let's say only half of the people replied to the email. So yes, it is somewhat of a biased group.
Yeah, it's hard enough.
But you put that up against zero information that we have now, and if isn't it possible to survey this half of the people, half of the universe, and essentially make sure that any report coming out of it makes a big point about that you just made, which I think is very valid, that we have not heard from half of them, and they they may not wanted to be bothered, or whatever the right way of phrasing that is. But I guess I'm saying that the difficulty of doing this um, leaves us and has left us for years, for the entire history of the ANCs, as far as I know, with no knowledge of why these people were living. The election before this was 50%. What kind of profession have you ever heard where 40 or 50% of the people leave? I mean, it's just
Well, the kind that pays as generously as ANC commissioners.
Precisely, right. What kind of volunteer leaves? It's a much higher number in any volunteer, entity.
well, anyway, I I would hope, Commissioner Blumenthal, that if we do go forward with a survey, that you might help me try to construct questions that were objective and fair, because I bet what I wrote the first time would not be,
I would be more
despite my
than
best
happy to
efforts.
review. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I would be more than happy to review questions. I would hesitate to design something, from the scratch, but I'm happy to review questions.
I appreciate that point.
Okay, are there any other comments? Is this just a discussion really, rather than a,
Right.
yeah,
Just a
at
discussion.
this
Thank you,
time,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
for allowing me to bring that up.
All right. Commissioner Duncan, did you want to talk about the Zoom meeting, the possibility of registration, or do you want to skip that because we didn't have a problem this meeting?
Well, I wanted to throw this out. Most of the meetings, if we recall, we got totally spammed in the last meeting and it was very disruptive. And we weren't spammed today, but Catherine and I sort of went and limited a little bit of what people could do. And I know in the past we haven't liked the idea of registration, but most commissions that I've ever gone on, and like the Ward 3 EdNet and all of these places that have open meetings, they want you to register. You can register instantaneously. But the thing is, you have to log into your Zoom account. So if you go and you disrupt a meeting, and then the host can send a report to Zoom, then Zoom can go and restrict that account from joining your meetings in the future. So it had been a while since we had been spammed, but I would like us to have a discussion on whether we want to do the registration. It's really easy, but someone has to have a Zoom account to register. Doesn't have to be paid, but
But do most people have Zoom accounts? I don't know. Of course, I have a paid one, but do most people even have an unpaid one? You don't have to come to this meeting, right? Right now.
okay, so maybe you don't have to have a Zoom account, but you have to put in your email and then they send you the link to your email. So like that's the extent of the registration, is that they know where this person is coming from. And it's an extra layer. It's an extra layer of hassle, although we didn't seem to have a problem. Although I thought I saw the name of a person who spammed us last time, who's not here right now. Um, anyway, something to think about.
I would say if it is, I mean, I think we all have encountered leave an email to register for this meeting sort of logins. I don't find them. If you're required to have an account with a private company in order to participate in a public meeting, I'd be hesitant. If it's just a matter of encountering a form, if you click on the link and you get a form and the form says leave your email and your name, and then you click again and you're in the meeting, I don't have a problem with that.
I think what it does is that whatever email that you've put in there, it sends a link to that email to get into the meeting.
Yeah.
And that's a one-time use link. To your point, Mr. Blumenthal, that I don't think you're then becoming a quote unquote Zoom customer.
Yeah, you're not coming. It's not no, it's not.
And therefore gives them some level of control to block problematic accounts.
Yes.
I guess
I don't know.
I'm not sure this is necessary. I could be proved wrong, but we've been spammed twice. And the first time was the very first time we went with Zoom ever. And that was back when Zoom was suddenly, and there were people were bombing every Zoom account. And then we got bombed this last time.
We got bombed when we made that developer on Cathedral Avenue angry. He decided not to show up to the meeting and it was filled with spammers.
So 3 times you're saying we've been bombed. I guess we have a hard enough time getting our constituents to come to our meetings. I just hesitant to make one more step unless we get bombed again. But that's where I would come out. I would say, if this continues to be a problem, absolutely we need to do something. But being bombed one time, essentially recently, I'm not sure to me, is not sufficient. I think we want as many people as possible to come in here, even at the very last minute, and attend these meetings. And these are people who, have some property and of something that's in front of us, and they would never come to the other meetings, but they want to come because their property is involved or whatever.
Are there any other discussion of this? It's just a discussion. There's nothing on the floor. I think that I would be in favor of more research or more digging into exactly how this works and what we would do so that we could implement it quickly if we need to.
Mr. Chairman, in that regard, could we do a test? Just a few of us, 2 or 3 of us, offline. We basically say, no, here's this meeting, you got to register, and just watch exactly what is required. Because I think what Commissioner Duncan is saying is probably accurate, but we need to experience it just so we could be very authoritative. This is what happens. We could do that offline between now and the next meeting. I'd be glad to participate.
Great.
All right. Now I'm going to call for the treasurer's report and the 2 contracts that are all Commissioner Elkins.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We started the month with, I'm talking about January, we started the month with about $32,000 in the checking account and ended up with about $36,000. The difference being because we got our allocation from the district on time. We are in compliance with the help of people who sometimes the treasurer says to you, can you please send me such and such? So thank you for your help on that. So we're at $36,000. During the month, we provided compensation to our contractor. We moved $10 from our savings account to our checking account. And so, but don't go wild now with this $10 because it's only $10. And then we got the district allocation of $4,472. So that is the treasurer's report. We are in good financial shape. You asked me to move on for these other items, and I will do that. Maybe we take up the Go Vocal engagement platform. I'm bringing this on only because I'm the treasurer, not because I'm in charge of it. I think maybe we should ask Commissioner Duncan and the chairman, in particular, whether this has been a success this year in spending $2,000. What the company is asking is for $2,100 this next year to cover some, that's within the bounds of the contract that we signed before, that they can have minor expense changes year to year. So it's $2,100 this year. The question is this a good investment for ANC 3D? And I think I would ask the commissioners whether that is.
Yes, Commissioner Duncan.
I liked it. And they're about to come out with new plans for the Arizona Bridge and the trail, and we're going to use it again. I think actually DDOT was looking at our comments that we were getting on the platform. Um, I thought we'd gotten some good responses from some surveys we put out, and the more you use it, the easier it is to use. So yeah, I would like to keep going.
So is it a motion that we?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that that ANC sign the contract for another year of Go Vocal for $2,100.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Is there any other discussion of it? Seeing none, all in favor? 7 votes in favor, it's unanimous. The other contract?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The contract that we signed in the past with our administrator, Catherine Blakely, is actually good, continuing forward. There's nothing wrong with that contract. But OANC suggested that in the interest of good bookkeeping and being able to answer the auditor's comments that she has to answer to, that perhaps would be good to renew the contract. So I took a look at the contract, and I am proposing that we adopt the same contract this year with a couple changes. One is that this contract allows Ms. Blakely to terminate this contract with 30 days notice, which is quite appropriate. But you could read the contract to saying the minute she gives us the notice, no, even if she does a lot of work after that, because she's got 30 more days, she's given us 30 days, that we wouldn't pay her for what she did during those 30 days. Well, that doesn't make any sense. So I've written in here that she could be essentially that she would be paid for those services that she's rendered before she gives the notice, as well as agreed to by the chairman in writing. So if she were to give notice today, I hope she will not, but if she did for the next 30 days, the chairman could work out with her what her compensation would be, how many hours she'd be paid for during those 30 days. So that's one change. I trust nobody has any problem with that. The second one is that in the past, the contract basically needed to be amended every time we decided to maybe give an increase to the hourly rate. And I'm suggesting that in the future, that this contract now, as it's now worded, that if ANC in an open meeting such as this meeting approves the increase in the hourly rate, that essentially is sufficient. We don't have to go back and amend the contract, bring it forward, and get another approval by 3 days. So essentially a paperwork issue. And then the most important change is that we began with Catherine at $25 an hour. We then upped it to $33 an hour last March, I believe. And I'm recommending that we increase it to $35 a month in this contract. So those are the three changes that I'm recommending be made to the standard contract, and I make a motion that we approve this contract going forward with Ms. Blakely.
Is there a second? Very good. Commissioner Duncan seconds. Is there any discussion?
I don't know, Chuck, if we're going to have enough room for me to do 5 hours on Transportation Digest with that big raise. I don't know.
Well, I hope so.
Just teasing, of course.
Approved.
All in favor of approving the contract? 7 votes. It's unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, I failed to say a very, very important thing here. Thank you for that vote. But I think we all know this, and therefore it's just sort of obvious. But Ms. Blakely has done a fantastic job serving this ANC, and so that's one of the reasons we want to give her a raise, because she does a good job. She's faithful, dependable, gets things done. Doesn't need a lot of supervision, of course, because she's a contractor, et cetera. It's just she's done a fantastic job. So I just wanted to say that, and I hope others would agree with me here on the commission.
Yes. Agree.
Agreed. Commissioner Nowak, can you bring the approval of the minutes for January?
Yes, commissioners, thank you. As you know, I was not present in January, so I give thanks to our previously named administrator who assisted with that, as well as commissioners who opined on the minutes. They are presented as amended. And can I have a second on that, please?
I second.
Okay. Are there any other additions, deletions, edits that were not previously forwarded to me? Commissioner Elkins, yours have been included as sent. Anybody else have anything that you needed changed? Okay,
No?
so I would move the question.
All right. All in favor of approving the minutes? 7 in favor. It's unanimous. So the notice of the next meeting. The next meeting is March 4th, because this is February, so it's the same date. And same time, same place. Is there anything further?
Commissioner Horn, Chairperson Horn, I think we have to vote on my nomination to the GCP as well, because it was only temporary for last month.
Yes. Well, Corey Peterson said that they are not going to hold any meetings until April. And so at the beginning of this, we just bumped it to the next meeting, March 4th. We'll take it up then.
Thank you.
All right.
Sorry about this, Chairman Horn. I wanted to announce that DDOT has scheduled, I got the notice today, that Wednesday, February 25th, from 7 to 8 p.m. is when they are going to be presenting their new plan for the bridge and the trail to the community, and they are doing it at the PCA Town Hall. And the PCA is going to start heavily promoting that starting tomorrow.
So that's going to be in person and not hybrid. Is that correct?
Actually, the PCA wanted it in person, but it has to be hybrid because that is the contract that they have with their that DDOT has with their third-party engineers, is that their meetings are virtual. So the meeting is virtual.
The meeting is virtual or hybrid?
But then the contractors will be on Zoom?
No,
was PCA meeting in person?
It's a virtual meeting only.
And then I trust that ANC 3D will then, as appropriate, reflect something in the Go Vocal platform.
That is my plan, that we will take those plans, put them in there, chunk them out like we did before, and start soliciting comments again.
Commissioner Duncan, is the contractor or DDOT going to present at an ANC meeting for anybody who misses the PCA, or are we going to
I
point
think the
people to the PCA recording?
PCA meeting is going to be recorded. So like they did their last meeting, I think that DDOT will post that recording on their website. And we can post it on ours too, and the PCA will have it. They can have it recorded also.
Is the PCA going to be taking comments, or are they moving into a position of being the responder, or well, how do you see?
No, the PCA is running their regular town hall, and this is just their guest speaker.
So, I mean, maybe this hasn't been fully thought out. Forgive me if I'm pressing further than
It's okay.
we're ready. But then that leaves, if I understand what you're saying, that leaves the ANC as the organization, as usual, to collect comments together with DDOT, of course, and to say anything we want to say about it on behalf of the community.
That is exactly what I was thinking. So the first time DDOT presented, they actually held their own meeting. We didn't host that. So this time the PCA is just the format that they're hosting. They think they can get a good draw for people. But I fully expect our commission here to actually take it up after we receive our comments. But the PCA isn't going to be doing any stance one way, they're not even going to take a vote on it.
So that leads me to believe that the Go Vocal engagement is very important, because if that is done well, as I thought it was this last time, that keeps our meeting from being a 3-hour debate about about the trail. But at the same time, we need to take responsibility for it. Don't get me wrong, but we don't have to have the entire decision meeting maybe here in one of our meetings. I don't know. I guess we'll wait to see what people's views are. But
I'm assuming that we're going to have some kind of vote.
yes, right.
Yeah.
At the March meeting, or do you think that we'll be able to hold that until April so that gives people time to respond?
Generally, their NOIs are, I mean, we can ask for, I think they're 45 days. So I'm anticipating that we will be taking this up in April.
Okay.
Well, I guess, Mr. Chairman, the questions that I've raised are the same questions that a lot of the public are going to have about what is the process? Where do they make comments? Who do they beat up on if they don't agree with it? I think that's us, whatever. But I think that's important for people to know. And so it's not the PCA they should be beating up on.
PCA is just there to host DDOT. So DDOT will have their usual comment portal open. They did a survey last time that we posted on our thing. And then side by side with that, we collect our own information from the community.
Well, as the person who many years ago had to sign a letter after this kind of discussion in the community, I would say that it's important for the procedure to be known, and that thank you, Mr. Horn, for being the chairman.
What a great way to end a meeting. All right. Well, I think that was a pretty successful meeting, and we'll see you all in a month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.